The winner split continues. Welcome to First Touch, episode 9. As it is Wednesday, February 15th. Happy Black History Month. Dazzle rolled this Tbates here with you today. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to chat about things that are around the league like we always do. K-Corp, Turbo, EU, Moist, timeouts, and more. But, of course, before we get into that, gentlemen, how we doing today? How you feeling?
Chilling. Gotta turn on the light before Tbates starts to yell at me real quick. Gotta get in frame too. Oh my goodness, bro. All right, I'm chilling. Having a good day. The sun's bright, beautiful day outside. You know what I'm saying? Been outside already. Got some sunshine on my face. But how we doing over there, Bates? He's actually showing the waves too. Hold on, I just noticed that he don't got the wave cap on.
Oh, the hair. Yeah, usually I have the hair. Usually I have the hair mopped. I mean, y'all can't even see the waves. Hold on, let me give y'all a real wave check real fast. So I show y'all.
Oh gosh.
How like I be moving since somebody last stream was saying that Bates ain't got it like that, which was weird. It was really weird.
You found that in the comments?
Oh my, bro. Hold on, bro.
Yeah,
stop. Someone's gonna drown, man.
So yeah, that's how Bates is moving, but we don't need that much light. Also, bro, this is how proper lighting looks. See? Yeah. No,
it's just reflecting off your forehead, bro. Like,
I mean, I got a massive one, but I mean, that's how much lighting. It's a studio production over here in my room now. Your room, I don't know, man. Like I said, I shouldn't have to go buy you no lights though.
If he flips where his bed and his desk are, he'd have that lighting.
I know, but he don't.
Exactly. But then you wouldn't have the background of the windows.
Nobody can even see out the window.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, nah. See, I had it right the first time, but I got Bates in my. Your setup needs to be the window need to be the. That's what you sounded like.
You told
what
him
I
to do
did.
that.
No, I didn't tell him to do that. He had the setup in a terrible spot last time, so he had it on the side, so it wasn't facing anything. So then I said, if you're gonna have it in front of the window. Like if you're gonna have where the desk is right now, you gotta put some dark shades on the window. Otherwise, the window's just gonna glare. Otherwise, you put your desk next to the window and then have that light coming in. But then your bed wouldn't be right next to the window. I said that's not really worth it. So he's got it almost right, but he needs to get the dark covers on the window so where it's not super dark. I mean, not where it's not super bright behind them. So then the lighting will be a little bit better. Then get some lights, get a couple Elgatos, get a couple key lights, and he'll be good to go.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, that's cool.
Let me jot that down.
Me personally, I'm just by the window. I got the natural light coming in, and then I can look out. I can see the city and everything. It's great. I love it. It's beautiful. That being said, while we get our shopping list together, let's bring in our guest who's going to be with us for the show today. It is the one, the only Johnny Boy who will be joining us. Johnny, welcome to the show.
No shades.
Hey, what's good? It's good to be back. Good to join you guys again. I've been enjoying the shows so far this season. Not as much, copium per minute compared to last season, which is good. So yeah, I'm proud of you guys.
Well, what do you expect, Johnny? When the guy who had the most copium switched teams to the winning roster,
What was he talking about?
he gave up on the copium.
First of all, there was no copium. Second of all, I do want to point out something real quick, though, for all of us. We kind of got like a little color coordination vibe going on. I don't know if y'all noticed that with the even with the black. Johnny got the black shirt on. Rolders got the black shirt on. Everybody else got the white, the cream. It's kind of sick. I like that. I just want to point that out. But no copium.
Natural synergy.
I want to see what copium happens here, where we get into this first topic, the record breakers topic. Karmine Corp opening up new horizons. KC breaks EU record for most regional finals in a row. Are we surprised, Johnny?
I'm not surprised. They just look unstoppable regionally, so I'm not surprised they made another final. They've won up themselves from last split, though. They won 2 of them, so that's already one up, and they still have 1 more to go. So they've even increased their already high standards from split 1.
Can we show the record tweet? There you go. Yes, they will. K-Corp Vatira officially break the European RLCS team and individual record for most regional grand final appearances. So, RL Esports also recognizing the record set and broken. And Tbates, this K-Corp squad, I mean, it's looking like no one in EU can stop them.
Yeah, currently it's looking like no one in EU can stop them, but this is just a common trend that even Johnny Boy has to concede. That EU typically has one team per year that comes in and they just win everything. It's been consistent. been consistent. It's the
You
European
might want to be
history.
careful, Tbates. There's there's probably
oh.
one team you might want to consider in NA. That's doing something quite kind of similar. So I feel like everything you're saying here,
No,
it's like you're pointing a finger at EU. You got 3 pointing right back at yourself. I feel like it's the same over there.
No, it might be the same right now, but I'm saying historically, it's not always been like that. And Europe traditionally, at least since they've started doing what we call this, the open way of RLCS, they've had BDS domination. After that, I guess you could say BDS and Moist domination against our 2 teams, and now it's back to just Karmine again. Now it's back to Karmine. EU traditionally does the NA. I can already hear the counter argument, but NRG. Well, listen, it was NRG. It was G2. It was Rogue.
Big 3.
It was Rogue.
Well, how many? Let me ask you just. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. How many different first seeds did NA send to majors last season? It's 2. They sent Energy and G2. They were the only teams that got first seed. How many different first seeds did EU send? 3. Endpoint, Moist, and BDS. So
Okay.
actually, not really any difference there. I feel like G2 dominated NA the latter half of last season just as much as Moist and BDS did. I feel like Energy dominated the early half just as much as Endpoint and Team Queso did. I don't really see much of a
Energy
difference
was the
there.
1
I
seed
think they're
in the
both
winter?
pretty similar. Yeah, I believe they're still 1 seed because didn't they get first in the very first winter regional?
Yeah,
I believe
guess
they did.
Yeah,
they
they
did.
had a little momentum.
It was like NRG and then G2. That was the 2 teams that dominated. Whereas EU had Endpoint, then you had Team Queso, Moist, BDS. So I don't really see EU as having more of a 1 team dynamic than NA ever has. Now this season it's just NG and Karmine Corp. So I feel like it's mirrored, honestly.
Maybe it might be mirrored. Maybe I just think of like EU, the teams there. It always just seems like whoever's number 1, they seem like they have a firm grasp on it for the most part. I will concede that at the end of the season, when G2 was on, it seemed like G2 would continue.
Didn't they do the same thing? Didn't they have 5 grand finals in a row, G2, between winter and spring?
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like towards the back end of
Yeah.
the last season, it felt like G2 had that hold on it, just like BDS has the hold and like Karmine has the hold. But maybe it's in my head a little bit. A tiny bit, and this is like it's like a little tiny like difference between the 2 because they do really mirror each other. I just feel like once the EU team hits the roll, hits that pace, it's just hard for any other team to stop them.
I think it's hard for you to imagine another team beating Karmine, but honestly, right now I'm the same. But in the past,
you thought somebody could be BDS?
I didn't have the same confidence as in BDS last spring as I do in Karmine Corp right now.
Really?
BDS did actually lose Regional 3.
Barely.
They still look like they had some off days, I feel. Like that BDS where, they lose to Liquid or lose to Moist. But yeah, Karmine Corp don't seem to lose anyone in playoffs. They just make finals. So yeah, I think this is the most dominant team we've seen in EU regionally since the Open era started.
Since
even more than Moist or BDS. Well, okay, BDS and RLCS Season X, sure. I think they were the longest dominant team. But yeah, since 2021-22 when LANs came back, I think this is the most dominant team that we've seen. Could go on to rival that BDS record, in my opinion. They seem like they're unstoppable, KC.
Yeah, they're on a run. They're definitely on a run. So it'll be interesting to see how things happen. We have one more winter. We have the Winter Invitational in Europe coming up in a couple of weeks. So just kind of seeing how things kind of shake out. But K Corp look unbeatable right now. And, you talk about records, you talk about these guys. There's one guy that had a 4-time world championship. That's his record as a player in his career. But is this it? That's the question. We get to Turbopolsa. Seeing Turbo in the quals for this upcoming regional event didn't necessarily look good. Dark Zero ended up bombing out, not being able to qualify. And then, of course, we reference our tweet. Turbo created a tweet saying, at this point, I just think it's time. Which a lot of people ended up referencing on that. Raul, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think it's time for Turbo to hang it up?
No, I personally think any pro can last forever in this game as long as they're willing to put the time into it. And recently, I just this is me. I just started putting in. I told my team I was gonna get top 20 just to prove a point. It's a struggle. It's harder than what it seems. But I just saw Turbo in rank. I just saw Turbo in ranked for the first time, and I don't know how long I've been playing, and I consistently been playing the game since I've retired, but I just saw him in ranked the other day, like 2 days ago or something. So my point being is he has stopped grinding. He has stopped with his mechanics. He stopped doing certain things that would upkeep him. I think if Turbo were to upkeep his mechanics and consistently grind the game, he would still be winning things. He is the perfect teammate. There's a reason he's a 4-time. He has the key to success. He's paved the way. You just have to be a good teammate, and that's all Turbo ever was. He came into a sub role, made the teammates around him flourish. He was the greatest enabler. If you watch me, you know I'm all about the enablation. You know what I'm saying? Make your teammates better, and that's what Turbo was. And if he just upkept his mechanics, he could be doing it. But again, he stopped playing the game. His grind. At a certain point, it gets so hard to stay at that path when you've done more than what everybody else has done. It's hard to motivate yourself to create new goals, but I think that's what he needed to do. He didn't do it, and he fell short, and now he's falling down, and it's kind of hard to get that climb back up, that motivation. But right now, it might be time for him to hang up the sticks because he's not grinding, so it's just hard to gain that motivation back.
What about at the end of the season, though? Surely you gotta think it's just, well, I hope it's just a knee-jerk reaction to losing, to failing to qualify, and then that you'll still play spring, finish out the season with his team, because they're still pretty new together, Dark Zero, and they didn't make either of the regionals this split, but the teams that they lost to were teams who are making regionals. It's not like they're losing just random series. They lost to Axel, Akura, and Dignitas, who are all pretty solid teams. So I think that they shouldn't overreact. But at the same time, like you said, Turbo's already achieved so much. Making a regional isn't anything to him historically. Maybe that right now would be a huge deal for him. Maybe it would be very personally rewarding for him and his team. But if there's other things that motivate him more than that, then I wouldn't blame him for leaving. But it would all just be about what he wants to do. He's already had a go at kind of coaching a little bit, didn't he? He was standing behind the Optic guys last season.
I'm not sure he wanted to be there, Johnny.
See, that's what I mean. I don't know if he enjoyed that. I don't know if he really was coaching, or if he was just there to be the backup man. I have no idea. But I think he probably could be a good coach. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's got a lot of experience. But I don't know what he wants to do. A lot of the other players who retired, and you think Rizzo, he obviously had content. He wanted to do content, so retirement made sense. But for Turbo, I don't know if he wants to do content. I don't know if he wants to do casting. Don't know if he wants to do desk work. Don't know if he wants to do coaching. So it's really just up to him and what he wants to do, I think.
Yeah, I will say Turbo did not want to be behind him.
Okay.
I knew that Turbo wanted to play at that event. I think I might have even tweeted something around during that time. He was hanging around just waiting for a chance for them to go in when Optic wasn't doing that well at the spring major last year. So I know that's been probably very frustrating to see him go from winning all these world championships to the consistent downtrend that has been coming to him as a player in terms of just teams that he's been a part of up until now. That being said, though, me personally, of course, I don't want to see Turbo not stop playing the game. But if, like you said, Johnny, if Turbo has something that he's more motivated to do in his life that he wants to pursue, then you just have to respect that and then follow that, because it's kind of hard to keep grinding. But that being said, that's my take. Bates, we didn't get yours. How do you feel?
Oh man, my take has never moved. I've never switched. I called it about a long time ago. I said he should have retired. Should have been hanged. Yeah, I've said it on the show multiple times.
When should he have retired? When should he have retired though? What's the reason? When? Why?
He's a hater.
I'm not a hater. Let me go look.
Team Envy. That's what he goes say.
Team Envy. I'm pretty sure I said he should have retired. He was holding back Atomic and missed. And
I remember that fall major.
I wasn't happy about that. I wasn't happy about that.
I don't think he was holding back Atomic and missed at all, though. I feel like that team was they were all holding each other back. They were just terrible vibes.
No. I mean, they had some immaturity issues that they had to go through, some professionalism issues they had to go through. But on top of that, Turbo was just not doing what he needed to do in order to get them young guns where he needed to be. He couldn't get the job done. And then after he got off of Team Envy, he got a second stint with Optic. And I say he should retire on that team as well. And it go. It's not disrespectful. It's called the facts of the matter. Y'all gotta look at the
why
body.
though?
Okay, let me tell you why.
For what? For
Let me tell you why.
legacy? He's still getting paid to be a pro right now. So I feel like he if he retired sooner, he wouldn't have made all that continued income.
I don't think he cares about that, Johnny. He doesn't care about the money. I think he does care about the legacy. When you win 4 times, I think you're playing to be a winner. You want to win. I don't think you care about the money.
You don't think Turbo cares about
the money comes
salary?
with it. The money comes with it, Johnny.
I think Turbo cares about the money.
No, not Johnny.
I think he cares.
Bro, what? No, people don't just pass up on money. Dark Zero probably giving him that bank, bro. I'm not passing up that check. But what I'm saying is that, Johnny, let me answer your question. Is why? We'll backtrack to that. Why? And it goes to what Raul's talking about. That man stopped grinding the game. He stopped playing.
Yeah.
He stopped playing the game, and it's starting to catch up to a lot of these old guys who have been here a while. But some of them have recognized that they need to start grinding energy. I see you grinding now. But like Turbo, for instance, he just wasn't playing. He was never on the leaderboards. And listen, there's some things to say about ranked. And it really don't matter if you're first. It really don't matter like that to a certain degree. But it does matter if you're on the game where you're putting in the work and where you're putting in time. And people can hate on tools all you want, but that's your additional practice. You have X amount of hours of scrims. You have 3 hours of scrims. You're going to have film review. And other than that, it's your free time. So whatever else you want to do with the game, you got to put in more time. You can't play the game 3 hours a day and be done.
No, I agree. I agree with all that.
And
but
so
I
think that caught up to him. And
what could he have done instead, though? What could he have done instead that would have made like the last few months more worthwhile? Like his time on Optic, his time on Dark Zero. What could he have done that would be more worthwhile than that? I don't really know. Maybe there is something in his life that he could have done that's worth more than that, but I don't know.
No, I'm saying he should. I'm saying he should retire. Cause it doesn't seem like he's interested in becoming the best of the best again. At least, like he might say it, but like the work ethic, the actions speak a lot of words. I'm not seeing that correlation. I think I said this over the summer of last year after he got benched by Optic, and I was talking also about Fairy Peak. Those guys are cerebral. They're cerebral in their knowledge of the game. They see the game different. There's a reason they've all been winners. They need to take time and spend a whole bunch of time and just like do what these young cats are doing, where they just sit there and they grind mechanics. Cause you got the experience, you got the poise, you got the measurements, you know what you could do on land. So, but you got to get the mechanics up there with them. And I don't think any of those old guys are really taking that initiative to a certain degree as they should, where you got to legit sit there for 8 hours a day and just practice arrow left and right. And you just got to really get that control. And I don't think a lot of them do that. And if you're not going to do that, then, I mean, you're going to keep collecting the check, but then eventually
that's the thing though, Bates. I think that you got a lot of valid points there, but not in like whether or not Turbo should retire. I feel like that's a different question. You know, I feel like the retirement is all about like, is there something better he could be doing with his time? If he still enjoys competing, maybe he doesn't enjoy like improving as a player in his own spare time, like you're saying. But if he still enjoys the competition, he's being paid for it. Why retire? You know,
but
that might be the top thing he can do.
Start getting paid because he hasn't been getting the results. The 4-time label can only bring you so far.
Yeah, then you probably retire. Do I see Turbo, playing on a team with no org? Probably not, but I don't know. Maybe he would. I really am not sure. I've not had a chance. I want to hear from him, like himself. Really, I'm not gonna like judge based on like speculation. I wanna hear what does he really want to do, because we all of us want to see him in this scene. We want to see Turbo interviews. We want to see Turbo content. But he usually doesn't make a lot of that himself. It's usually him getting involved in other people's content and post-match interviews and stuff. He's a fantastic personality for the scene. But yeah, he hasn't really expanded on that one tweet hinting retirement to say, been thinking like a tweet longer, been thinking about these things. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this. I'm waiting for that, continuation. Right now, I just consider it a knee-jerk reaction till he keeps going.
You know what I think was his biggest mistake? Coming to North America. He should have stayed in Europe.
Nah, you got a world championship in
He got a world championship. He got
he
number 4.
should have stayed in Europe.
No,
look, he had a great team with the great pieces on Optic. You got the attack in Atomic, and you got Miss, who's a defensive mastermind, and then you have Turbo, who's supposed to be the midfielder, the enabler. That is what that team. You called them the machine for a reason, right? They were winning consistently. They were at the top. They were at the top of North America. They were, but when you have the other pieces that don't believe in Turbo, he's gonna slightly decline.
But like what does that? Hold on, rewind, Roldes. Why does that mean he should have stayed in Europe though? He won a world championship in NA, and then he ended up on another multi-regional winning team after that. NRG and Envy had tons of success. Like after moving to NA?
No,
Why
because
should he stay
the
Europe?
mold in North America is selfish. North America is selfish. That's why we don't win lands, Johnny.
But
They
he had
play like
so
a
much
team in
success
Europe,
again.
Johnny.
Whoa. North America wins
He made-
lands now.
He had so much
North
success
America
in
wins
NA.
land.
Why would-
Wait. What North American team just won a land?
Gen G.
Yeah. And they got what? 2 players that came from the European playstyle.
Nah, but wait. No, we're skip. There's still no answer for this. So I think Turbo moving to NA was by
Yeah, I
far
think
the
it was a
best
great-
decision
I
he
think
could
it
have
was a great
made
move
at
for
that
him.
point in his career. He did not enjoy playing in his team that he was playing on in Europe anymore, and the top teams in Europe at the time were all completely full, not looking for a third. NRG happened to be looking for a third. Of course,
Okay,
you
then
take
win
that
it-
spot. That was a no-brainer to
Win
go
the
to
chip
NA.
and then go back.
No,
No,
then he had then he had
Oh, my
Envy, and he's
goodness,
like
bro.
winning even more events with
No.
Envy.
No,
I
that man's
think
made
winning
so
NA
much
was
money
no,
after he moved
but
to
if he
NA.
goes back to Europe, nah. Because
no
now
team-
nobody respects him over here at all. Tbates don't even respect him. He's won 4 times. Tbates can't respect him at all.
Oh no, I do respect him. I
think he would have if he moved back to EU. I would be extremely surprised if after Turbo left Energy or after Energy removed Turbo. I would be extremely surprised if he could land on a top 4 team in EU. Very surprised.
But he
I
wouldn't
don't think
need
any
a
of the
top
top 4
four
teams would have wanted him. Plus, like I think whatever team he would have ended up on would probably have not ended up as a top 4 team.
It's better than Dark Zero. He can't make a regional now, Johnny.
mean,
But like
that's
he
now,
ended up in
though.
Envy. He ended up in Envy.
But
top
there's
4
so
NA.
much more upcoming talent in Europe that people would he would pick up a young gun that could get
What's-
into a regional and they would
what
build
you
a team.
saying?
It's way easier.
No.
I
No,
can't.
time
I
out.
can't disagree more. Turbo moving to
Time out.
NA and staying in NA
Time
was
out.
by
Bro, you
far
got-
the best
bro,
thing for his
you-
career.
bro,
This is the best decision he's ever made, and now we're talking about him retiring.
Yeah,
would've retired earlier in
because
the
him
year.
moving
He would've
NA,
retired
him
earlier.
moving to NA isn't the reason he should be retired in my eyes. Like it doesn't seem to me, and like I said, and I like Johnny's point of hearing from him. 'Cause I want to see. It doesn't seem to me like he loved the game as much as he used to, and which is the big issue. Because like I said, to be the best and stay at this level, especially nowadays, you got to keep grinding the game. It can't just be some simple rinse and repeat the motions. Now, his biggest issue has always been to me that he wasn't putting in the work outside of scrims. Like you gotta do way more than that to stay at the top level. In Rocket League, he did. That's his biggest issue. Since he moved to NA, he's a world champion. He was on the machine, one of the
was
greatest,
already a world
one of the
champion.
greatest teams of all time.
I knew he was gonna
that
say
couldn't
that.
win. That couldn't-
He was
the
already a
machine
world
was-
champion.
Okay,
One of
yeah,
the
but
greatest
one of the
rosters
teams
of all time, bro.
That
If you don't
couldn't
shut up,
One
one of the greatest rosters of all time.
The machine was one of the greatest teams of all time who couldn't
No,
win.
Are you
And-
serious?
And-
Stop
and
it.
I said who couldn't win.
Who couldn't win?
Who couldn't win? So they're not the greatest team.
I mean, listen, that's like a 4-time, 5-time regional champion team, bro. Like, and so, like, and then they ended up choking in NA and RLCS. And then he moved on from Envy after that. At the end of RLCS, at the beginning of RLCS 21-22 after the major, he went to Optic. Was also a good team as well. He's had plenty of opportunities. He made plenty of money. He's had plenty of success. And now, and he's also initiated teams. When you start talking about the young gun talent, Atomic and Mist were still young gun talent. Envy doesn't come. Envy's not picking up Atomic and Mist without Turbo. Turbo is the key factor. He put them on the spot and he helped elevate them. Whatever they want to say, he definitely did help elevate them to get to where they are now. Like
Yeah,
like
they
he's a
picked
part of
him
that
up.
team.
They were. I remember Envy had options at that point when it was Atomic Mist and they're looking for a third. They had options, and they picked Turbo out of like
Turbo.
a pool of very very good players at the time. At that point, he was still
He was
a
still
very
good and
you know
respected.
very sought after player. Very sought after. It just happened that NRG, the very best team, didn't want him because he wasn't like I don't know. They just had too many L's to G2 in season 9. They were like, we need to do something different here. But. Yeah, he was still a very good player at that point. Like, we shouldn't like imagine that the
still
Turbo that we
solid.
see now was the Turbo we saw in RLCS Season X. They were 2 completely different players. He was still a great player in Season X.
But in season X and then after that, you could still see as mechanics were starting to fall off a little bit. And that's
Yeah,
all that's
for
all I
sure.
want. Like I just want him to start grinding. And so that's all it comes down to. I say he should retire if he doesn't want to put in the time. If he doesn't want to put in the requisite work to reach that level again. And I also think it's really hard for him I really think it's hard for anybody in today's game, especially once you like fall off a little bit to really get that cachet back and that respect back because I mean, this open format. It's open, but it's rough.
I don't know though.
It's rough.
I don't think
You
you
still
can
gotta
say
have the
that
team, though.
confidently.
You still gotta have the
Yeah,
team to get you there.
What if he retires now? there's no coming back pretty much. No one comes back from retirement like that pretty much ever. It's very rare. Few players have done it. Actually, rolled as you kind of like went to coaching, then came back and made a top 8. Like I think it was season X or last season, but like it's super rare. And like the longer someone's retired for, the less likely it is they can come back. But right now, he's still competing.
Yeah, that's
in
what I'm
that
saying.
kind of like he's in the kind of 17th to 24th range in NA right now. If he retires, he's going to fall even further behind, and that competition will be no longer a part of his life. If the competition is what he enjoys, then he should keep going.
Yeah,
But,
that's what
I
I'm
don't know
saying.
what else he's got to like. Players like CJ retiring to be a caster. There was another big thing pulling him there. He's like, I really want to be a caster because I love casting this game. So that's like something pulling him away from pro play. He probably didn't need to retire, but he had another bigger incentive. Same with Rizzo. Content pulled him away from pro play. Lethimer, content pulled him away. I don't know if there's something bigger for Turbo right now than competing, and he hasn't really opened up about that.
True. That is very true. One thing that I would like is, Johnny, you do those list streams. I need a list of top greatest teams that didn't win.
Like didn't win what? Didn't win a LAN?
They won the world championship,
Or win anything.
Yeah, because
well, actually, no, they didn't win anything. Don't disrespect them like that. Whoa.
Oh my
Whoa,
goodness,
whoa,
bro. What did they win, Bates?
Multiple regionals.
Bring up the accolades. What they win right now?
Didn't they were the 4-time regionals champions, I believe.
They were dominated.
Maybe.
There was domination. And there was domination.
Domination.
Huge success. I think very successful team.
They were
in the
successful,
RLCS season X.
extremely successful.
successful.
And they choked in all. Then they choked in the finals.
True. Yeah, Johnny brings up a great point though. Not much more we can really say about like Turbo in terms of retirement. It's just about hearing from him. So I'm personally ruling it, knee jerk right now, but keep it in the back of your head for a little bit as time goes on. Split's not over yet. Dark Zero still have one more regional to play. Wait, do they?
No, they can't. They're out.
No.
Oh, they're out. Oh, so
Yeah, it's an invitational.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens during the trade window / getting ready for the spring. But that's all we have for Turbo right now, unless some other competition comes to Dark Zero plays. We see how things shake up there. But moving on to Europe, let's do the EU Cup recap. First things first, can anyone stop K Corp this year? We're talking 2023, the year 2023, this literal year. As
They won the EU.
Oh, yeah. You can see it at the bottom bar. K Corp is the first team to punch their ticket to San Diego. Here's a bracket here. They ended up beating Liquid in the grand finals 4-2. That series was back and forth, but it was all one-sided victories no matter what. That being said, let's take a look at some K Corp clips. Johnny, do you think anyone can stop K Corp this year?
If you're asking, do I think someone is going to win a regional, and one of the 4 remaining regional? Nobody's going to take their number 1 spot though. They're going to be the number 1 team, I think, for the whole year regionally.
Who are those teams?
The teams who can fight with them, Oxygen got
Who's
swept by
going to
them.
stop them?
I think Oxygen can win a regional. Oxygen lost to them, but I think they were kind of in their own heads a little bit. It was similar to what we saw from Moist when they first played against Vatira. They looked a bit shambolic in the regional matchups against them in the playoffs. But yeah, I feel the other team is probably Liquid. Liquid, if they peak, can probably beat them, and if they, as we'll talk later, call timeouts at the right time, would probably help themselves against KC as well. They're my 2 favorites, and also Vitality, especially in spring when they have Zen.
Okay, that's your team. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. So I believe they will be stopped. I think it's a guarantee that that Vitality team will be every bit as good as them. So I think it's a guarantee once that young cat from France hits the pitch in the spring split. I think they're gonna. Karmine's got instant competition in that. Yeah, I don't know, man, but that's really the only team I just feel like if there are odds saying like, can anybody beat this team in the EU, they'd be them. And there's another team who is not on this leaderboard.
Yeah, they're gone.
Because I don't know what's wrong with them. And they're still the defending world champions. I still hold out. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me how they keep losing.
Monkeyman's still so good. I think Seiko's in a bit of a slump.
How they keep losing. It's not making sense to me. I really need to go and do like a in-depth replay analysis on BDS in my free time, probably this weekend, and check out why it's just not working because it should be working. Like it just should be. They shouldn't be losing. And it's just those teams. But I'm starting to lose a little bit of confidence in BDS. But
Seiko's in a slump. Seiko's slumping for sure.
Yeah,
He's
I
not
agree with
putting up
that.
like Seiko. I don't remember the last time I saw Seiko 1v3. He used to do that every single series
every
at some
series,
point.
every match.
Yeah, he would have a moment where he's just completely 1v3 to team, consistent 1v2s, but he's in a bit of a slump right now, and I feel like Extra's confidence is also not good at the moment. Very inconsistent. And he was so consistent when they were the best team in Europe. So yeah, they can't rely on Monkey Moon to just keep dominating. Monkey Moon still looks really good as an individual. You know, not the team synergy's not there, but Monkey Moon, he's still an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Do you think that has something to do with Seiko's confidence, knowing that he's more than likely not the best player on his team?
I mean,
I think this is. Do you not see similarities to when Mark by 8 was in the roster? Sometimes Mark by 8 would be having a really bad day, and I think a part of the reason for that would be like Monkey Moon's mood. Like Monkey Moon would just look like he's in a bad mood or not having a great time, and Mark by 8's confidence would be terrible at the exact same time. It correlated so often. I feel like Monkey Moon right now is just not enjoying himself, and the team are just like, oh no, how do we make Monkey Moon happy? I actually think a lot of teams are like this. You know, some teams have a kind of like,
oh gosh, he's speaking from his experience.
I really think some teams struggle with this. I don't want to go and list off teams right now.
No, not you. I'm talking about the other guy.
Yeah. Sometimes you like have like players you have to babysit. I'm sure Roldes will know what I mean. Like you got to babysit someone's mental, because as soon as they get tilted, you're just more worried about them than you are worried about playing the game. And that's what I look at when I see BDS right now. I'm like, it looks like Extra and Seiko are so worried about like, okay, how do we keep Monkey Man positive? How do we keep the team vibes positive? And they can't focus on actually playing.
This is so funny.
He's right though. Like
I'm reading between the lines a little bit here. I might be wrong.
It's crazy.
I'm guessing.
Remember back in First Touch first season, and we would have the Monkey Moon highlights of him being not seem happy on the camera, and then people on Reddit stuff saying they're just looking in too deep on it, meow. And now you got y'all savior Johnny Boy. He's saying it in the year 2023.
I think it's true though. I think it's true. I'm having to guess a little bit here because I've not heard. I mean, Monkey Man's been saying he's had some. He's been pretty open about his own personal struggles in real life right now with his mental health. But as for the game, I don't think they've spoken about the actual game publicly and how the comms are in games. But I have to imagine that there's something there that he's just not feeling great about how the games and how the series are going, and that probably makes Seiko an extra stressed and worried, which is not how you want to feel when you're competing at the top level.
That is crazy.
Tough though. How do you how do they get happy again? How do they just get those good vibes? Tough to see.
I haven't been watching the cameras, so I can't say whether
they haven't been on any cameras.
I haven't been watching the cameras, Kai. I feel like you can always find out. I love that analysis, that reading in between the lines. I love that. A lot of people don't look at that type of stuff, but I haven't looked at the camera, so that's interesting. It's interesting.
Everybody looks at gameplay. Like gameplay is largely dissected into the comms and the mentality of the players. Like if the team is having fun and a good time, then all three players are gonna look amazing on the field. But if there's that one, you know what I'm saying? If there's that, like, if we're reading between the lines and Monkey Moon's not having a good day, and he's typically known as the best player in Europe or top 3 in Europe, like he's highly respected on that team, always will be. If he's not having a good day and he doesn't sound good, it does affect the mentality and the mentals of the two teammates. That's why, like, when we go back to Turbo, the greatest enabler, he made his teammates feel good to play the game. It's all a team thing.
They're also the best team in the world by far. So I mean, you gotta put that into perspective as well. There's only about 2 teams that's good one back then. Now RLCS, there's a lot of good teams. Oh, and I will say, to add a little nugget, even if Monkey Moon, even if Johnny's correct about that, it still comes in that Seiko is still, like, regardless, not on his game. Not on this game at all.
Yeah.
And like in comparison to last year, like even if your teammate's not having the best amount of time, even if you're a little worried about that, you still ain't doing what you usually do. Nowhere near. It's like complete. It's like night and day. Seiko went from being 1v3 king, as Johnny said, to no V3, because I'm just not seeing it all. The whole entire series, and that's not something I like. But to keep us on track, like I said, so I'm gonna say Vitality. I just think they're gonna be every bit as good as them with Zen. And then other than that, like I don't want to rate like people saying I don't want to say teams like if they peak because that's just like saying they'll be stopped. I think Vitality will be as good as them, so I think Vitality will beat them. Raul, Demar, y'all think Karmine Corp or can be stopped in Europe this year?
Yeah,
by any
I
team.
think yes with Vitality when Zen pops up, but that's it. I think every other team they're in their heads, and Vatira's old teammates cannot get by. I guess like Vatira's always stomping his old teammates.
He really does, though. Yeah, I feel like Rise might need to just, try and turn off nameplates or something. Mod Vatira's name to something else because, yeah, they didn't look as good against KC as they did any other team this split with Rise. So Vatira's just got the mental diff there. And if Oxygen fix that, though, they've definitely got the talent to challenge KC.
100%, yeah.
I think Team Liquid do as well. They're extremely talented, but just very, very inconsistent. So that's the two teams I think could still win a regional the rest of the season. Oxygen, Team Liquid, Vitality, KC. They're the four. There's four left. So yeah, probably KC is going to win a couple at least. We'll see.
Yeah. I agree with Johnny. I think I would also probably lean I feel like Oxygen just need like a little bit more time. And then I could see them really just competing with KC. But yeah, that last time they played was abysmal. And that was not fun.
They were doing cardio. They were getting cardio out there, man. They were having a good time running left and right.
They should have stopped that. But moving on, let's talk about Bates. Because Bates, you made a tweet, and my goodness, yeah. But this one was more blasphemous than the other ones. Like, can we show the tweet?
That's a bold take. I got some blasphemous takes.
Gotta be the most blasphemous.
I got some blasphemous takes. He says.
Should I read it or should you read it? You should read it. We need to hear how you said it.
Oh, good.
I said it at the fall major, and I'll say it again. Vatira carries K Corp. That's exactly how I said it. He's the clear best player.
Saying it so proudly.
He's the clear best player in the game right now. No questions. No question about it. Atasha and Exotic, they're good players. Don't get me wrong. It's just there's a bad man on that roster, and that enables them to win, and his name's Vatira. That's just facts of the matter. By the way, look how clean that profile picture is. Hey, yo, man, gonna toss your boy.
Bro, show the stats.
When he's looking at your profile picture, man, they're looking at the blasphemous text on the screen.
Listen, you gotta know what you gotta put a face to the words.
Meanwhile,
yeah,
face to the words. There's Itachi right there.
These are great
second
numbers.
in goals, second in scores, second rating, and 64% goal participation. This is Itachi's stats here, which has been the biggest thing because a lot of people have been saying, even Bates even got a mention in the grand finals of the regional about how well Itachi was doing on K Corp this split. I want to, or not this split, this regional. Johnny, what are your thoughts? Oh my goodness, what is this?
What the heck is this? I did not say this. I did not say this at all. This is so lies.
You probably should copy paste that and tweet it to Itachi immediately, though, because it's true, though. Itachi's been the best player this split for KC. He has. I'm sorry, but Itachi's been different. Like, Vatira is still the best player in the world. But I think he's been outshone by Itachi this split, these two regionals. Itachi's got the number one EU, I think.
Bro?
I agree 100% with what Johnny's saying. We even watched replays yesterday, and you still I don't know. Maybe you need to clean your glasses or something, get a new prescription, because you clearly aren't seeing the game the same way that everybody else is. Like, we know what Vatira can do, but Itachi just stepped up a different level these past two regionals. He has.
Yeah. He's been unreal. He's always had that potential. Everybody's been talking him up from the French community, and we've been waiting for him to show his true ability. But this has been his split. He's shown what he can do. He's been outplaying so many people, just making solo plays, and looking so much quicker. And he's not lost any consistency while doing that. He just looks like he's faster with absolutely no drawbacks. He just seems more mechanical, and there's no sacrifices have been made. Sometimes players try to be quicker, more mechanical. They sacrifice their accuracy, they sacrifice their precision, or their boost management, or something goes out the window. Itachi's just become faster and more mechanical on the ball with seemingly no drawbacks to him or his team.
He just seems a lot more confident, and he's pushing up. I don't know what it is, because when he had his previous roster, he just
He seems
he
a lot
wasn't
more
playing the same
confident.
role.
Is that what
He
you
just
said?
seems a lot more confident.
Oh,
Seems a lot more
And
confident.
it could be because of Vatira. I'm not saying
whoa,
Vatira's
whoa,
not
whoa,
It's-
whoa,
it's the
the
team
more you already
vibes.
know
It's
it's
the
gonna
team
happen.
environment.
Listen,
But
I just gotta let him
but
talk.
just to say
I just gotta let him
Vatira's
talk, DeMar.
carrying,
Don't explain it. Don't explain it.
he's not
Bro,
carrying.
don't help me.
You
I
can't-
don't have to say
go
anything.
ahead.
What's
I
you
don't
can't
have
just
to say
say, oh, the
anything.
team. No, Bates, you can't just say, oh, the team looks really happy and confident, and that will credit all of that to Vatira.
To
It's a team
Vatira, it's all
thing. Their
Vatira.
team vibes are immaculate. They look so calm and confident on camera before a big series, right before the Oxygen series, which should be a grudge match. It's the first Rise versus Vatira on Rise's new team, and they're just chilling. They're completely relaxed.
chilling too.
Casey are dancing on the camera.
I got the best player in the
They
world on my
couldn't look
squad.
more chill.
I'll be
And
chill
no,
as well.
not just Vatira though. Exotic's dancing.
Mhm.
Itachi's like
Yeah.
I imagine doing like TikTok memes or something. I have to like guess these days because I'm a boomer. But yeah, they're all
you
having a
calling
good
yourself a
time.
boomer?
Their vibes are immaculate.
All right, great. Listen, now it's my turn. Y'all are done?
Oh goodness.
It's Bates' turn. Listen, y'all got all these fake graphics up on the screen. I don't know if we
Fake
have the real
graphics is crazy.
And I don't know if we have the real graphics. There's 2 teams in EU that have been in the finals at least 4 times. Karmine Corp made it 5. There's a common denominator on both of those 2 teams. What's his name? What's his name? Who's the common denominator of the 2 teams in EU that have been to grand finals 4 straight times, at least 4 straight times? What is his name?
Yeah,
His name's
no one
Vatira.
is arguing.
His
that he's
name's
the best player
Vatira.
in the world.
Whoa. You had
has
your
to
turn.
take
It's
his
my
shoes.
turn now, Johnny. You gotta listen. You were old.
Why
Y'all
are
did
you
a whole bunch
asking
of
questions
when
It's
you're
my
not
turn.
allowing us to
It's
speak?
my turn. I let y'all speak.
I know you left a pretty big pause there, which would indicate.
I want you to ponder. I want you to know exactly where I was going. But Tiro, there's number one, man. He's already shown his greatness. And whatever team he's on, bro, oh, you've said that he just seems so confident now because of his new team. You know why he feels so confident? Because he's got the best player in the world, who is not only the best player in the world, he's the best defender in the world too. So I would be confident too. I can leave that man back 1v3. He gonna handle it for me. He gonna make sure I'm all right. Oh, and not only is he gonna make sure it's all right, but then he's gonna take it out, air dribble, give me the time to get back in position, so I can go be my tap in specialist. And
Tap-in specialist?
Itachi is the best tap in.
God.
Did you just call him a
The best
tap-in
tap-in.
specialist?
No. Listen. It's not disrespect.
Itachi the
It's not,
tap-in
no.
specialist.
He's not just a tap-in specialist. That's a part of his game. A part of his game. It takes a lot of skill to be a tap-in specialist. You gotta be able to finish. A lot of people
He's
can't do
not
that.
tapping in, Bates. He's like clipping on kids.
Whoa.
We can run the
And
highlights back.
Itachi, listen. He's a great midfielder. He's a great midfielder. He has great poise. But Exotic and Itachi in particular cannot play defense. Y'all need to go back and watch the tape. Roll, you can attest to it. Because we went there. We sat there and watched that whole series
Bates,
2 nights
did-
ago.
okay,
And
okay.
that boy's a Swiss cheese back
Bates,
there.
did you watch Exotic 1v3 defending while his teammates left him out to dry? I think it was against Team Liquid. He had somebody trying to demo him, somebody trying to infield
it's
pass.
about time he did something on
he
defense.
1v3 defending.
That is crazy.
Usually the ball goes right by him like it's not in there. It's like it's a ghost.
Bates,
It
I
goes
feel
right
like you see somebody jump. Honestly, you see somebody jump without air rolling, and you immediately think it's bad, even if like they do fine. You're hating on Exotic because he doesn't air roll, but actually it's intentional. He just doesn't air roll because it is.
Where does air roll come
it's a
from?
valid way
He
to
just
play.
can't play
It's like,
defense. It's
he doesn't
honest.
have to.
It's a fair point. He can't play defense. Everybody needs to go back and watch the tape. And when I
Yeah, he
say
just
Vatira
accidentally
carries,
1v3
it's
defended.
because right now they're the best team in EU. They're the best team in EU because of Vatira, and also because Exotic and Tachi are really good players. But then when the moments get when there's moments that need to be made, your best player comes in and he finishes. I don't know. I haven't seen Exotic and Tachi do that. And Rotterdam in particular, I saw Vatira the whole entire land. He was on one. He needed help. He was pulling them. They didn't want to come with them. He was asking, please,
Yeah,
just give me a little
no
bit of
one's
help.
arguing that.
Just
Bates,
give me
no
a
one
little bit of
said.
help. And so until I see it
Bates,
on
hold
land
on, slow
again.
down.
Until I see
You
it on
gotta
land
slow down,
again.
Bates.
What?
You gotta slow down because nobody said that Itachi's the best player in the world. No one said that Itachi carried them on LAN. All I said is that Itachi's been the best player in both of the
See,
regionals
that's
so
just
far.
that's just crazy.
That's all.
I don't care what
Which
the
he
numbers say.
has. But Vatira's the
I don't
best in the
care
world.
what
To be
the
best in the
numbers
world,
say.
you need to be.
That is
You need to be
crazy.
best. You need to be the best on LAN. You need to be like the best over a longer period of time than 2 regionals to be called best in the world. That's why Vatira is the best
Let
in
me
the
ask
world.
you a question. Has
Itachi's 2
Itachi
regionals have been immaculate.
has Itachi ever been in his best player in the region conversation before now? No.
Well, it depends what kind of literal best. No.
Why is that even relevant?
10,
It's
yes.
relevant. You know why it's
What
relevant?
kind of top?
No, just top. Like this is what you're saying. Has there ever been in this
no
conversation.
one's ever considered that unless they get the success.
Okay,
that
but you
he's
know what?
getting now.
Okay, thank you. But you know why? You know why he's in that conversation now in some people's eyes? Because he's got the best player in the world on his team. That's why. That's why. It's just that simple.
But do you not think Rise was like top 2 for the entire calendar year alongside Vatira? Like Rise and Vatira, that was their year, 2022. They were the best 2
Are we
players.
comparing Rise with Itachi?
No, I'm just saying that Vatira and Rise, they teamed together for the entire 2022 except the fall split this season.
I know.
And they were the best 2 players of the entire year. So like, why are we saying Vatira, all of like my success is due to Vatira when they had Rise as well?
No, I mean,
how
it's
can we
not-
say all of Karmine Corp's success is due to Vatira when they have Itachi playing this well? Like, come on. You can't just say it's all one player.
I'm not saying that all the success is a team game. I'm just saying in the big moments, when you really need plays to be made, Vatira's making them. And Exotic and Tachi is a little questionable, especially on defense. I don't see a complete game out of them. I see offensive prowess. I think those 3 see the game offensively as a unit better than any team in the world right now. Exotic and Tachi's movement and positioning on offense is exceptional. More people need to study their game because it's great. They sit there, they stay on offense with 20 boosts. That takes a lot of confidence, takes a lot of poise, but their defense is just not good. And so, like,
Okay,
I
so-
Bates, hold
what?
on though. You said at the fall major correctly. I agree, by the way, that Vatira needs help.
Oh,
You
yeah.
said that.
Oh, no, he
'Cause
needed help with
Itachi
the fall
and
major.
Exotic, we're not
Yeah,
doing enough
they
for the
weren't-
fall
they weren't
major.
there.
But now Itachi's literally doing what you said. You said that
He was doing that
Vatira
last-
needs
he was
help.
doing that last split, though.
Itachi's helping him, and now he's like playing the best Rocket League he's ever played. And you're still putting him in the you got to help Vatira more box, even though he's literally
You do. You gotta play some
helping
defense.
so much.
You gotta play some
Yeah,
defense.
now you got to
If-
play
if-
some
if-
defense.
if you
Okay,
can't
hold
play-
on, wait. If we've known the commodity of Vatira to be this defensive guy, and they bring him in to do what he's best at, why? Why are we criticizing the other 2 when they're stepping up on the opposite side of the field when we know what Vatira is here for? He's the best offensive player in the world. He's the best player in the world. That is his specialty. We've seen him do it all year on Moist. That is what he did. He bailed Joyo and Rise out of so many situations.
That's what he does.
We saw that consistently. Why is it such a knock on a top? Why is he hard carrying this Karmine Corp team all of a sudden?
Oh, why is he hard carrying him all of a sudden? Well, first off, Vati's namesake is being defensive, but first off, Vati can play offense too now. People just don't get to know that. He can play offense. He can play offense too. I just want to point that out there. 2, they got Vatira on the team to be the best player in the world. Simple and plain. All I'm saying is, I think that people look at stats too much, and they're gonna look at stats, and Tachi's gonna have some great stats, and he's gonna have them. There's nothing wrong with saying that you can carry. It's like.
nothing wrong with
That's
that.
it.
No, there is, though.
It's too.
Bates,
Like,
you're describing it like you said he's a tap-in merchant, basically. When he's scoring solo goals, he's actually just 1v2, 1v3 outplaying in this split. Itachi is taking the ball, and he's air dribbling past everybody and
I'm not
scoring
saying
goals.
that. I didn't see that.
How
I
is
watched the whole
that
series.
Vatira?
I watched
Like,
the whole
yes,
series.
Vatira is like behind him, and Itachi's got the confidence to go for a play because he knows Vatira is behind him, so he doesn't need to like manage his boost for his recovery. He's just going all in. But he's still making the plays though. Like he's still
He makes some
hitting
plays. That's good.
ridiculous
He's a
clips.
great player. He's a great player. Great players make great plays. That don't mean that you just have one player that's much better than.
Now you got to
much better
acknowledge
than-
this is his peak though. Itachi literally last 2 events, all-time peak. This is the best he's ever looked. And like it's taken an all-time peak from Itachi to barely be better than Vatira in my opinion. I think he's slightly been their most effective player. But you know, we got to acknowledge that peak though. You know, Vatira's still the best in the world, but Itachi in these regionals
He's
has
playing
been
great
immaculate.
Rocket League. He's
been
playing great
ridiculous.
Rocket League, but he's still not there yet. I need to see more. I'll judge him properly in San Diego. If he performs like he is online in San Diego, then I'll change the narrative. But if he comes up small again, it's gonna be the same thing, bro. Y'all gonna see, man. It's about the big moments. I expect Karmine Corp to win these. They're the best team in Europe. I expect them to win. I expect one of them's gonna have crazy numbers. One of them's gonna have crazy numbers. Itachi's got the numbers to split. I want to see what they're
It's
doing.
not just
on
the
land.
numbers though. Like the goals he's scoring are incredible.
I wanna see what they're doing on the
He's
land.
scoring ridiculous goals, and defensively, I think they're a lot better than you're giving them credit for as well. Like they look pretty unstoppable. They look way more unstoppable this split than they did last split. Would you agree with that? Karmine Corp this split regionally.
Yeah, because Itachi's playing better.
Look more unstoppable. Yeah, because
Itachi's playing
Itachi
better.
stepped up.
Exactly, he's playing better.
Vatira is just doing his thing. If Itachi has peaked, Sorry. That's what I think the difference is. And if he can produce that on LAN, then yeah, now we can start talking him in that best in the world
But- okay,
conversation. Right
and-
now we don't though. I don't put Itachi best in the world conversation.
I
But
think
for regional, for this split, he's been ridiculous.
I think also there needs to be. I think there's this negative like association with the word carry. Getting
There
carried ain't a bad
is.
thing. Getting carried ain't a bad thing when you're the best team in the world. It's like the Miami Heat. It's like the Miami Heat. That's right. I'm going to basketball, people. Everybody knows the Miami Heat with LeBron James. LeBron James was the best player in the world. He was to carry Miami Heat. Everybody knew the Miami Heat weren't going nowhere without LeBron James. But that's not saying. And listen, I'm not comparing Natasha D-Wade. He ain't D-Wade. D-Wade top 3 all time. But that's like that's like saying D-Wade and Bosh weren't doing their thing as well. It's a team game, but it's just you got somebody who's significantly better than you that's gonna help elevate not only your game but also y'all overall performance because he's the best. And that's not wrong. People know what LeBron did. He just carried the Heat. Without LeBron on the Heat, they're like the 8th seed. Without Vatira on Karmine Corp,
They were still 4th.
they had Astro and Noli.
What is this?
Are you just saying Itachi's been carried by all his teammates? Well, actually, he's just worked really well with lots of different players.
I think
It's been
Itachi
phenomenal.
No. I think Itachi's a great player. Like I said, I think he has cerebral sense of the game. I like how he passes the ball around. He sees the game different. I like that. I like studying that game. But there's nothing wrong with saying that you're just getting the results because you got the best of the game on your squad.
But regionally, in these 2 regionals, has Itachi been carried by Vatira? No way. He has not. I think if anything, Exotic, you could argue Exotic's been carried because he plays for the team a lot. He's quite happy to just like ball chase on 0 boost to pressure it, and then his teammates get to come in and make a big play. Like, yeah, every team needs a player who's playing for the team. I think Exotic's like that guy, but it's actually this split. He's not getting carried. I'm just gonna say that.
We'll see it in San Diego.
I think he's getting carried.
We'll see it in San Diego.
He might. Yeah, we will. Maybe he'll get carried in San Diego, but right now, this split, he hasn't been carried.
Yeah, I think that's where most of the conversation, the arguments come from, is the fact that he is playing well, but when they hear you talk about it, they think that you're saying that he's only doing well because he has this guy on his team. Versus,
he's a good player.
Like him just like actually just being like, okay, let's just say he's good, and then just leave it at that. It just gives like a little asterisk
the best
on
player
it.
in the world wants to come play with him. How about that?
The best player in the world want to go play for a French organization because he's French. Stop that right there, please. Stop it.
How come he didn't play with Vitality?
Why didn't he go to Vitality?
Carmine's bigger organization. What? That's easy business decision. Not even a question.
I guess
more to it than that though.
Yeah, I guess Vatira just wants the business side of things.
Itachi is so highly rated. He's more highly rated in the French Rocket League community than he is by me right now.
Dang,
like I can confidently say that they rate him higher than I'm telling you how good. I'm telling you how good he is. The French community thinks he's even better than that. Vatira thinks he's even better than that. So he didn't just go to KC because it's KC. Like he definitely would have wanted to. Like Vati would have wanted to play with Itachi.
He wants to go somewhere where he can win, not just because of an org.
Yeah, I know. He had a better chance of winning than Karmine Corp. They have a better team.
Why? Because of the players that are on that team.
Yeah, they had a better team.
Dang.
Nobody said that at the time though. Very few people were, saying that's a good move. They're all saying, "Why is Vatira leaving Moist?"
Yeah.
To go to play with Itachi and Exotic.
Because they didn't understand that Vatira wanted to go speak in his native language and dominate and play for a French organization, and also play with a team that he knew could be every bit as good as Moist. He's that guy.
Also, everybody underrated Itachi and Exotic at that point. Like everybody was talking bad about that team. They underrated both of those guys. I think Exotic's still underrated.
Yeah.
Itachi's getting respect because he's putting up some crazy numbers and scoring ridiculous goals this split, but Exotic's still underrated, even with all the success that they've got.
That is very true. I'll be the first one to admit, because I was one of those people, because I was like, why, like Itachi, Exotic was on Simper, and they just weren't looking good, and I was like, teaming with Itachi and Exotic, it just didn't seem like they had it when I saw it initially on paper. But they do, it seems like they got it now, so it is working. They knew something that I didn't, that's for sure.
You know why they got it? I don't need to say it.
Here we go again.
Let's move on.
Why do we play with Vatira? Let's just sign up with Vatira. We're gonna get carried. We're gonna win regionals because Vatira can win with anyone apparently. So let's just sign him up.
Can we take a look at the EU winner standings? Let's shift the topics, man. We'll have to wait to see at the winter major about this whole KC conversation. But looking at this tight competition, 5th through 8th are all within 7 points of each other in Europe. Remember, only 5 teams in EU can go to the major. K-Corp's already locked in. There's 4 spots left. 3 of those spots are in a 3-way tie between Vitality, Oxygen, and Liquid. And then, of course, you get everybody else who's under them from German Amigos to G1. Not even just to G1 as well. Well, yeah, G1. I'm talking about Williams. Williams even has 13 points there. They're all super close. It's going to come down to the wire here during the Winter Invitational. But kind of thoughts on the level of EU competition right now, Johnny?
It's going to be another ridiculous race for those last spots. I mean, it's crazy. There's so many teams who are like second equal and then not that far behind second because Karmine Corp have won everything, putting everybody else in a crazy nervous situation. Usually by now, 2 or 3 teams look clinched, but right now only one looks clinched. I'm still pretty confident Oxygen, Liquid, and Vitality can make it, but none of them are safe. If they have a bad group, then they're in massive trouble. So it's going to be so hype. It's going to be so tense as well, especially on day 1 of the Invitational.
I agree. I'm not gonna ask who we think was gonna make it yet because I want to wait for next week so we have groups so people can make a informed decision. But Raul, how do you feel about the strength of Europe seeing those standings?
I think it's I don't know about too much. It's not gonna be that dangerous, honestly, when it comes to land. Like it's just gonna be the top. I think it's gonna be the top 2 teams. Like it's a France region. It's a French region. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, you don't think Oxygen can
What?
win again? You don't think Team Liquid can win again on LAN like they did in fall?
I think they'll be alright. They're not going.
That's crazy.
They're not gonna get top 4.
You don't think that
so.
Oxygen can destroy Gen G again?
No,
Who?
not a chance.
No. Not
Mental
no more.
diff.
Not a chance.
Yeah, mental diff is crazy.
Johnny, stop it.
I think Rise. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say that he made a bad move, but I don't know if I could see that team working out. To be honest.
I don't know. They've looked pretty good in all the matches that weren't KC. They lost the last regionals semifinal to Vitality in Game 7, and this time they lost to KC. So like,
I think the floor
don't
is
see a
there.
problem with that.
The floor is there. The floor for that team is there, but the ceiling's high. But will they break it? That's the question.
but see, they
I
don't
think
need
they'll
to
break
be
it.
as good as KC to beat every team in NA except Gen G. Like on paper,
Whoa.
like Gen G and KC are just by far the top 2 teams on paper, and losing to KC isn't an indication you're going to lose to like G2. Like, come on, there's a massive difference there right now.
Whoa.
Like G2 have got potential. We've seen it in the past, but they're not there right now. Like they're getting destroyed by Gen G just as
Gen
easily
G.
as KC are destroying Oxygen. Like I feel like just because you get slapped by KC doesn't mean that you're going to lose to anyone else except Gen G. I think Gen G and KC are up here, and there's like another like 10 teams at the exact same, very similar level. So I'm not too worried about EU on LAN this time around. I think it's going to be pretty close. Honestly, my biggest concern would be teams not getting out there early enough to adapt to the time zone. That's what happened last season.
Oh, it's the copium
yeah,
one.
this is what it is. This is the copium.
Well, okay, is it copium when most of NA's LAN success is on the west coast of USA, and most of EU's LAN success is in Europe? It's not copium; it's just time zones.
West
Like
Coast.
NA does worse in Europe, EU does worse in the west.
This guy's sick.
It's simple.
He's sick.
How is this copium? Which LAN did NA win last season? What was the one LAN that they won? Oh yeah, the one on the west coast.
But
was the ones that you
and they
did
just
best
won
at
a
in
land
Europe.
on the East Coast.
No, you can't say
On
that
the
because you
East.
need to say NA just won a land. Remember that?
Well, technically, NA won a land, right?
You're off
Technically,
there. You can't say it. I'll say it. NA just won
No.
NA
Oh,
just won
that's
the-
so impressive, by the way. Do you know why that's so impressive? Because Gen G went to the West Coast to do content, and then they flew all the way to Europe and won the LAN. That has never happened before in Rocket League history. I feel like when NRG won Season 8, correct me if I'm wrong, they were out there pretty early, I believe. That was like the first time they properly like boot camped, if I recall. But every other EU LAN in history has been won by EU, and most of NA's LAN success has been on the West Coast or in America because of, I feel like jet lag is definitely a factor. So that would be my, if I hear like a team like Oxygen are flying out 2 days before the group stage, I'm going to like let that influence my predictions.
That's a valid rationale.
Yeah.
If I hear they're out a week early, then I'll probably be like, all right, they're probably gonna play like they should. But you can't just say that jet lag is not a factor. Teams
No,
have to
that's a
think about
factor.
that with their travel plans. They have to.
That's a fact. I can see that. I'm
agree.
still calling copium though, because the way you started smirking and when you started rubbing your chin.
It's because I don't trust those teams to go out early. I don't think they're gonna go out really early because you need, if you're traveling from Europe to America in the West Coast, that is 8, or for like Central Europe, 9 hours of time zone difference. Generally, you need a
got the
couple of
maths.
days for every hour of time zone, like couple of days to adapt to 1 hour of time zone fully with your circadian rhythm. So, our team's really going to go out there 2 weeks early and fully get on the NA time zone. I seriously doubt it. Seriously doubt it. That is
So
definitely
what it
affected
sounds like
results.
is NA's gonna win another LAN.
I think they will. I think Gen G are the
NA,
favorites. I think Gen G
Gen
are
G.
going to win. I think they're the favorites to win this one. So yeah, definitely. I think they're more likely to win this one than they were in the fall because they're already in NA. They're already in the right, they've
Why
acclimatized.
is he smiling?
Not paid, by the way. He's not paid.
No, not Johnny. You.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not paid. I didn't say anything. I've just been sitting here enjoying the conversation.
I know exactly. You're having
Enjoying
a
the
great
fact
time.
that Johnny's saying Gen G is about to win again.
I'm just glad we're all on the same
I
page.
think this LAN's gonna have a lot of parity. And also, there's still a chance that BDS can make the LAN.
There
Oh,
is, yeah, they can
goodness.
still make it.
They
It's,
gotta
it's
win.
a long shot though.
They gotta
Yeah,
win, and the other teams to throw. But I don't know. It's doable. So I think it's tight in Europe. I like it.
Yeah, BDS won. That'd be one of the greatest performances I think I've ever seen.
Exactly.
And it'd be a lot of luck.
I'm gonna say though, how many times does EU have to look bad online and then show up at a LAN and win for people to start realizing that actually that you shouldn't there's not really a correlation there.
Yeah.
EU's only played badly as a region at one LAN since the Open era started. That was the Winter Major last season. This is the Winter Major this season, so it might be a repeat of that because history does tend to repeat itself. But I wouldn't look at EU teams struggling at KC regionally as an indication of how they're going to perform against international competition. I really don't think there's going to be much of a correlation there.
Yeah, I can feel that. I agree
Same
with
thing with NA struggling to Gen G. I feel like NA struggles to Gen G because Gen G's in their head, but I think they're going to do fine internationally. I think it's a difference.
Yeah, I agree with the time zone thing, especially after going to Rotterdam. That messed me up so bad. I've never been like that poorly. I just couldn't adjust to the sleep. I was tired every day.
Well, that's just because those days were ridiculously long. Because I would get up at 7, and then
it's worse going to Europe.
I wouldn't be done working until 10. So I didn't have time to sleep. Over here in the West, it's gonna be early. It's gonna be early morning, but then we're gonna be done like early in
3
afternoon.
p.m.
Yeah, so it's a little different.
That's solid. Okay. That being said, let's talk about this Moist squad here as we talk about teams not being able to make it. Moist is in that conversation. Question is Moist drying up? No, it's not even a question. That's a statement. Moist is drying up. Moist go 1-2 in groups. Finish top 8 in both regionals. We got a Moist package here because we are trying to figure out what in the world is going on. Raul, Moist, they're not looking so moist.
They lost their piece, man. They've been consistently losing their pieces. Every team has like an offensive, or someone that you would mainly say is offensive, someone you would mainly say is defensive, and then a guy who kind of works for the team. But the best teams are guys who can do all three and work for each other. But they're still special. Like I like to consider it specialties in each sort of field. And right now you got Astral. He's known for his offensive presence, mechanical. Joyo, offensive presence, mechanical. And Juicy, who's a young gun who needs to be molded into some sort of atmosphere that makes him flourish. And right now, he cannot do that with Astral and Joyo, who want multiple touches on the ball, who want the ball, who want to go for these flashy plays. And we've seen them have these high moments, but that's what you're going to have when you have individual talent at this level. They have a floor that they're going to hit every single time, but they won't get the success that we're used to seeing them get because they lost the pieces of Rise, who was that guy who would do anything for the team. He would go around getting the bumps, the demos, the disruption, and they had Vatira back then, who was the defensive guy. But there's a reason why they're slowly on a decline, is because they're slowly losing these pieces that operate on a team.
Johnny, do you agree?
Yeah, it's tough. I think Juicy's been thrown in at the deep end, basically. He's been asked to do so much for this team, and they've run into some pretty tough results as well. You know, look back at Regional 1, they lost to Quadrant in group stage, Game 5 overtime. That is tough to get to go out or to go to the 3rd seed, which ended up giving them a pretty difficult matchup against Liquid. That was Regional 2, sorry. And then, Regional 1, I think they also had, Vitality in the playoffs who looked very good that weekend. They've played against teams who've made the grand final run in both regionals. So I think, it's a little bit their fault for not performing to a higher level in the groups. This time they again lost twice. They lost to G1 and they lost to Solary. And, you can't be losing these games. Can't be losing Quadrant Game 5, Solary, You can't be losing these series and then expect to have a good playoff bracket. So it's got to be a better group stage for Moist. Got to get at least at number 2 seed if they're going to dodge a grand finalist and make a top 4.
Is this roster, Bates? Wait, before I go, do you have anything to add to that?
You're the host, bro.
So, but you know what? It looked like you was about to talk. That's why. But for this Moist roster, is this where it is at its current iteration? Something that you think, in order for them to improve, they need to just obviously the obvious answer would probably be just like take more time, work things out, get better, or is this just like something temporary until they can put together a better team?
So really, the question there is Juicy good enough? Right?
Yeah.
Because no one's questioning Enjoy or Astral's ability. So I guess the question there is really, is Juicy the fit? Is he the right guy? I honestly think he is probably long term. I don't know who else. Who else are they going to get that would be better? Who would join Moist that would be better than Juicy? I think Juicy's very talented and he's got great potential. He hasn't, shown his full potential yet on Moist. But I rate him. I rate Juicy very highly. So yeah, I think we need to give him more time.
Okay.
You agree, Bates?
Yeah, I mean, what else are they supposed to do? I also don't think they're really drying up. They're just not. I mean, they lost 2 of the best players in the game. I think they've been maintaining. They're still in a really good position to make the major, and especially on their short notices of what they've had to go through ever since the World Championship, with Tbates leaving real fast and then Rise leaving. Now, like, it's not like they've had much time to really gel and mentally get through that, and they're still very much in contention to make the major. So I think the days of them being a favorite to win it are past them at the moment. They could potentially get that back, but to make the major, I mean, they're still very, very relevant. And you got to give them credit, because for a lot of teams, when you lose Vatira and Rise, they would not be in the same position they're in. So I think they should stick it out. They probably can still make the major and still keep doing what they're doing. They got to keep improving.
Like I'd say there are better players. If you look at teams ranked below Moist right now, there are better players than Juicy. Like Cash is ranked below him. You've got I think Tox is playing very well for German Amigos right now. Atomic's playing very well for G1. I thought Smokes has been fantastic for Sonics. Noasaki's been very good. Stizzy's been called next up. But do any of them just fit the team better than Juicy? Is I'd say pure speculation. I don't know if any of them do. Yeah, and some of them, why would they move? They're on a full Spanish team in some cases, full English team here and there. I don't see any clear player who's just like, oh yeah, why don't they? There's no 2 Zens. If there's another Zen, okay,
there's a Zen, you gotta go snack him. You're Charlie, you gotta get on the phone. All right, how much you want? Whatever they're offering, I'll double it.
That's facts.
Yeah, and of course, people might be confused when I say Cash is below Juicy. I mean in like team points. Like Moist are still second in points because they finished second at the fall major, so their points are great for this season right now. But they got to pick it up at some point. They can't be keeping on. They can't finish 7th, 8th for the rest of the season. They got to at some point, get back into that top 5 if they're going to make Worlds.
I just don't see this like being a team that will consistently, or not consistently. I think that they'll be consistent at where they are. I don't see them being a consistent like top 4 team, making top 2s. Like I just think they're gonna be extremely inconsistent, considering just the team like mold that they have. Like Joyo and Astro are so ball oriented; they're always gonna overlap and get in each other's way. And then you got Juicy, who's a young gun who's trying to mold his way into these guys who already are super ball dominant. I just don't see it being consistent for success.
Wasn't there rumors that they tried out Oli and Raziers as well as Juicy and probably I don't know who else? Like usually there's a lot of tryouts when a player like Rise leaves. They're not just going to be like, right, let's just grab the first player.
Right.
They didn't just go with Juicy because it was a very last minute thing. I think Rise, although his transfer to Oxygen messed up a lot of other teams' roster decisions, it didn't really affect Moist because he was leaving Moist. Moist knew that. They had time to try out quite a few players, I believe. So yeah, it wasn't like, oh no, everyone's got teams. Who do we get? They chose Juicy. So yeah, I think we gotta give more time.
You gotta give Joy and Astro. They chose that, man. So
all right. I mean, players don't always choose the best things. So I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to y'all when things don't go too well and be like, I told you so. The mesh isn't there.
I feel like for this Moist squad, like everybody on the team, this could. I feel like this would be an interesting like rest of the season for them, because now they have to kind of figure things out. They might all evolve as players, or they might fall off. It's really one of those for Moist. But right now, like Tbates said, they are in contention for the major with those top 8s. But so the question of Moist is whether or not they're drying up really kind of pertains on what you view and what your expectations of them are. But there is a team that is also made of liquid that are not drying up at all. Team Liquid is the one I'm talking about right
Nice.
now. They they made it to the grand finals in the Winter Cup, but they lost 4-2. Again, we talked about the series. There were back and forth matches. The most controversial one was, I believe, let me be sure, I think it was game 5, where let me check here. Yeah, it was after game. Yep,
After game 4,
Game
right?
4, yep, game 4. They lost 8-1 on Utopia, and everybody, the casters, a lot of people were expecting a timeout. A timeout did not happen, and they went on to the next game to lose that one 2-0, then prompting a timeout before Neo Tokyo. But after that, it seemed like it was already over. Team Liquid did not score anymore after that 8-1 loss. So the question is, that we're going to talk about right now, is how important are timeouts, because everybody thought that was strange. Why not call it? Why not try to stop the momentum? That was the biggest thing. We have a couple timeout tweets though. Let's take a look at those so we can again get that community input here. This is from CJ. Liquid not calling a timeout 2-2 after losing previous game 8-1 is wild, and exactly the reason I will continue to bring up the fact you can't wait till the other team is on match point. Liquid's coach, XPR, came in and said, I was already talking at 4-0 when there was still 2 minutes. CJ responded saying, but it's not just about you guys changing it up. It's also about slowing the other team's momentum and letting the series breathe. This series showed perfectly what momentum can do. XPR said, yeah, but you don't know what's going on inside. There's no reason for a timeout right there. XPR doubling down. Do we have another one? Yeah, we have more. Snasky, Quadrants coach, got involved saying circumstances matter. If you're losing 8-1, there's plenty of time during the game to reach your focus to talk about what needs to change. Essentially, you're giving yourself a second timeout. If you're in a closer game, I'll completely agree with your point, though. CJ again, not to stem the flow and slow momentum, question mark? Snansky said, well, I guess in a small percentage of games this could work, but not often enough to use your own timeout for it. I think there's a reason why teams taking the timeout more often comes out and wins the next game. And there's one out too, but I don't think we have that extra tweet. But you get the gist. A lot of people were talking about this, people getting involved. How do we feel about it? Roll this.
I think a timeout is extremely important. I think what CJ is saying is spot on. It stops the momentum completely. It gives your team, your players, a time to kind of take a deep breath, relax, regain composure. You're getting smacked down 8-1, but I do see the other side where you have 2 minutes left on the clock. I think they were up like 6-1.
It was like 4-0, you said. 4-0 at 2 minutes.
4-0 at 2 minutes. Like, I don't think that's enough time to call it, honestly, in my opinion. But I get the point. Like, maybe he heard his team mentally just kind of chalking it. So he was just like, all right, let me start making adjustments and start talking to them. And it does give you a second timeout. That is the benefit. But you don't, like CJ said, slow the other team's momentum down. And KC is just like, all right, we're just going to keep scoring and pounding them until they're in submission. And then they don't take a timeout. All right, we're not going to slow down. The next game happens, and then they're right back on top of it. So I think taking a timeout is necessary in that situation.
Yeah. Bizarre. I think it's bizarre. I don't know what the coaches are talking about. I have no... I get that there's more going on in the team comms that we don't know about, and we will never know about. Only the players and the coaches will know. But I think it's ridiculous to, I think Stasky in particular is suggesting that, maybe what CJ's suggesting will work in some instances, but most of the time it won't. That's just statistically wrong. RLCS statistician Direct showed that actually teams calling timeout when the other team's got match point is statistically less effective in win percentage the following game than calling timeout before you're down match point. So I think calling timeout like nice and early in a series, the stats are there to prove that this is a very, very high chance of you winning the next game if you call a timeout in the middle of the series, not right at the end of the series when you're on match point. Where it still does, I think, have an effect. It's just it's a diminished effect. Why put yourself on that match point before you call it timeout? I think it seemed so obvious. And Gen G did it in NA just the other week. They lost 7-1 to Complexity. They were winning the series and they called timeout. And then they got that little mental reset. So there's so much evidence that suggests that it's a good idea to do. I think coaches are overthinking it. I think teams are trying to be too cute with it. Just look at the stats and do what you're supposed to do. You lose 8-1, timeout. Don't even think about it. Even if you feel like you're already mentally reset, doesn't matter. Just like do it, because statistically it seems to work. So why would you? I don't know why you'd think about.
You don't even have to say anything.
There.
Like you just
just
let it breathe. Like you just be like, yeah, take deep breaths, like relax for a second. Yeah, regain composure. Yeah, the coach doesn't even need to say anything. Like give a 30-second and then start talking about certain things. But yeah, the players.
I also think talking. Do you guys think talking 2 minutes remaining is kind of crazy, like chalking up a game? I know it's KC and you're down 4-0, so it's really hard to imagine winning a series from there. But I feel like just giving up on that series completely, or that game completely, is not the right way to go. If you can make it 4-1, 4-2, 4-3 even, that's a much better mental victory than losing 8-1, like giving KC all the confidence in the world. I get they want to like talk about the next game, but isn't that what the timeout's for, not the remaining 2 minutes? I don't understand what they're doing there, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't chalk games from down 4-0. I actually was streaming in the Discord earlier before this show started. I was streaming some of my ranked games. And me and my teammate went down 4-0.
I don't believe
Me and my teammate went down 4-0 and he tried to forfeit. I said, no, we're not forfeiting. We ended up winning 5-4. And so yeah. You don't want to chalk games that early.
How much time was on the clock on that?
But it was like 2 minutes left. Actually, it was like
the identical situation.
It was very identical, but it wasn't 3v3.
But he's 1600, so
Karmine Corp, teammate 1602's lobby.
Yeah, 1602's lobby.
First off, I'm getting disparaged. I'm getting slandered in here. The only reason actually I'm 1700 now. But the only reason I'm 1700 now is because I don't play the game anymore. I played for a solid hour. I played from 12 to 1, and I ranked up 100 MMR. I just want to call it what it is. SSL's easy. I'll get that on stream one day before the season ends up. Anyways, regardless of that, I think the main issue is just the fact that they chalked the game. They chalked the game and they gave them that much confidence. And yeah, I just wouldn't have done that. And regardless, the timeouts, I mean, the stats show one thing. I think there's a balance between the stats and knowing your squad. You gotta know your players. You gotta know how they react. Some players might just move on quick like that. Some players might not. So I don't know necessarily what the right answer is on that. I think that's a team by team thing.
But we've not really seen that though, Tbates. There are teams who don't call any timeouts at all, and there are teams who like call timeouts very late. So there's other teams who call it earlier. And I feel like, you know, the teams who are calling timeouts earlier are having a lot more success with their timeouts than the teams who are like not calling them at all and calling them late. That's what the stat says. The teams who are leaving it to the last minute are not winning as much as the teams who do it earlier. So if it's a team by team thing, maybe the teams who are calling it late need to look at the teams who are calling it earlier and think, maybe we should do what they're doing.
Yeah, that's
what
I was going to say.
More.
That's what I was going to say. I will say that if you're not going to call it there, you might as well not even call it. Because I don't know. I feel like just logically speaking, just like it seems like it's way too late to call when you're on match point. What you're going to do, yeah, like at that point, they got some momentum. All the team needs to do is beat you one time out of 2 or one time out of 3. Like it's going to be some serious changes you got to make that in order to like make that. So I would just call it timeout earlier anyways. But I mean, if he felt like his team they needed, I mean, that's them. That's something they got experience from, and maybe they'll change up next time.
And you just think about it, like you go up or they go up 8-1 and you're talking, right? You're talking for the last 2 minutes. You chalk the game 4-0 for 2 minutes. You're talking, and then the next game you don't score a goal. It's just chalked. Like the mental is just chalked, bro. You talk for 2 minutes. You chalk the game already. 2 minutes. And then you don't score the next game. There's nothing like the timeout.
I've got a question. I've got a question.
Okay.
Like, the stats show that teams that call timeouts in the middle of a series before match point win a very significant portion of the games that follow the timeout. So if they had called the timeout there at 2-2 in the series in games, then statistically they win the next game and they're on double match point. Now, would you rather be in that situation? You're on double match point, but you've already used your timeout, or would you rather be on the other team having 2 match points, but you still got your timeout left, I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely no-brainer.
That's
You'd
what
rather
that's
be
what
a
it comes
double
down
match point.
to. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
and that's what I was saying. When like at that point, you might as well not even call it. I mean, what are you gonna do
Yeah.
at that point? You gotta beat them twice. They gotta beat you once, and they got the momentum. You gonna try to stem in the momentum at that point.
Yeah, I was the point I was going to bring up was like I understand knowing your team, but you also have to know your opponent as well. Like being able to like slow down a team and make sure they don't get too hot is just as important as also trying to make sure your team is also in a comfortable spot as well. So I felt like it was a little weird. Now keep in mind I ain't a coach, but I also feel like if you're on K Corp side of things, you just beat them 8-1. Oh, they're not calling a timeout? Okay, cool. Go into the next game, beat them. Now that they called the timeout, you're like, oh, we got them now. Like, we got them on the ropes. They ain't score a goal in the last game. They're going into this one. Let's just chill. We vibing now because clearly there's just a level of struggle there that even though we can't see it, like the timeouts and that things, how they use them, it all speaks for itself.
It's
very rare. Yeah, of course,
Eversax.
of course he's going to say that. The Karmine Corp coach
Oh, wait,
said
Eversax is saying that?
they won. Yeah, I mean, that's good that you think so. I think it's important that he believes that, and I encourage him to not change that opinion no matter what we say, but it's very rare for there to be such, convincing statistics in terms of who's going to win. Rocket League is very unpredictable when teams at the top level are playing each other. So the fact that timeouts have such a strong correlation, calling a timeout mid-series has such a strong correlation with winning the next game, it's got to mean something. We can't just ignore that. That's why like all the casters are talking about it all the time. It seems like a no-brainer to call a timeout here because it's very rare to have any other thing as strongly influence who's going to win the next game as timeouts currently do. I can't remember the exact percentages. Something like 60%, 65%, which is absurd for a team who have just lost to have then that amount of win rate. You can't ignore that.
Ooh, okay, hold on for a second. I'm gonna see if D-Rec can get that to you before the show and sit tight. He I'll be curious to know the win percentage of teams against us that takes the time already to bet is less than 50% win rate.
Eversax. No, all right, Eversax.
No, wait.
No, I want to know the win. I want to know direct. I want to know win percentage of team. I want to know the win percentage of that with Vatira and then without Vatira.
Oh my god!
Why do we have to make this
I
about
want to
Vatira,
know
bro?
that one. Let's move this show along.
Yeah,
I want to know both numbers.
Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
We want to know what's the win percentage against Karmine Corp, and then what's the win percentage against Karmine Corp right after calling a timeout. That's the comparison there, and that's like the comparison we're talking about. Really, it's not it's not with or without Vatira. it's with or without a timeout.
Oh god, D-Rec is working.
You know what's crazy about that? It's because I talked to Noli, right? And he says the same thing about North America. He's like, as soon as a team calls a timeout, we know it's over. We won. It's the same thing.
Okay, this isn't timeout, so you just started with the TI. Let's move on to our next topic. We don't have that much time. 8 minutes left in the show. We want to get to this one. Head-to-head versus game difference. Seeing what should the tie-breaking factor be in groups. Current tiebreaker causes controversy in EU Winter Cup. Let's take a look at Europe groups A and B because that is where all the hoopla really was at in this last regional event. Now, keep in mind, these are the groups. Oh, that actually looks pretty clean. K Corp and G1. Clearly, you see, wait, they have a better game differential. How come that wasn't the case in Group B? Because there was a 3-way tie in Group A. In Group B, there was a 2-way tie, but things would have definitely swapped out because Quadrant was 1-1 in the day. They went to play Moist. If they had won, they would have, or if they won, they're top of the group.
If they won, they're top. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they lost, they were out.
They're eliminated. Yeah.
So there was a difference there. Johnny, I want to throw this to you on the tie-breaking factor in groups. What do you think?
Well, BDS were the team who were the most annoyed by this because they thought that they do have the better game differential against the group as a whole, and they thought that was the first tiebreaker, but it isn't because they didn't read the rules, so that's on them. They should have known that it was actually game diff against tied teams, aka head-to-head when there's only 2 tied teams, so they lose because Quadrant beat them. It's a tiebreaker that's been used many times in the past. Even in the past when game diff has been used instead of this, some pros have complained that they prefer the current thing you see on your screen. So I think it's fine. Personally, I prefer game diff as the first tiebreaker for groups like this, but it's marginal. I think this is a perfectly fair tiebreaker scenario. And it is the same for Group A. The only reason it looks confusing is because it's a 3-way tie. So you just look at the matches between the tied teams, just like you do in Group B. Oh, look, Quadrant and BDS are tied. Let's look at the match between them. Oh, Quadrant won, so they win the group. KC, G1, and SAR are tied in Group A. Let's look at the matches between these 3 teams. There's 3 matches. You total them all up. Karmine Corp win the 3-way tie. So it is the same tiebreaker for both groups. It's probably, a confusing thing for the casual viewers. And, apparently for some professional teams, you don't read the rules for the tournament they're playing in. But I don't think it's particularly confusing, and I think it's perfectly fair.
Yeah, sign me up for head-to-head, man. It's the best way. I said it last year when it was Game Differential. I thought that was straight up silly, and they corrected it. It's you versus me, mano y mano. Who won? I get the higher seed. Simple and plain. Simple and plain. I don't know how you get around that.
I agree.
Yeah,
Just be who's
fine.
ever in front of you.
Yeah, there are people arguing game diff on Twitter. That was weird to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're arguing Game Differential because it wasn't what they wanted.
I think they're both
convenient.
valid. I think they're both valid.
I don't even
but,
like Game Differential because I mean, you could just like at some point, sure, like it should be something that can supplement your ability to get a higher seed, like say like in the 3-way tie. But if I go game 5 with everybody, or if I go game 5 a lot and then I lose you, it's still a W. Like it's still a W at the end of the day, whether I go game 5 or I sweep you, it's still a W. And I think that matters
in
more
Swiss,
than everything else.
In Swiss, game diff is used as a tiebreaker, so it's not
I
like
don't
we're
understand
always Swiss. The difference is, to seed teams is the game diff as well as what round they're coming from. So it's a lot more confusing there, and nobody seems to have a problem with that. So
I think that's because it's for like the round. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, how did everybody do in that round? Because they're all supposed to be like equal level teams playing in the round. So versus like playing in groups, you're playing 3 matches, and then that's technically, if you think about Swiss, like 3 rounds of Swiss. But instead, who did well in that 3 rounds of Swiss. Dang.
But I guess my point is, in Swiss, if you go 3-0, 3-0, you are rewarded. In this format, if you go 3-0, 3-0, you're not as rewarded immediately because it's a game diff against your tied team. So if you lost 3-2 to the team you're tied with, you are less rewarded for winning more games as a percentage immediately. However, even if game differential against the whole group was used as the first tiebreaker, the second tiebreaker would still be against, it would be head-to-head, essentially. It would be game diff against tied teams. So it's not like that tiebreaker would disappear. It would just be like further down the line of priority. You're going to get both either way. Like I said before, I think they're both valid. It's just up to the tournament organizer to decide how they want to run the event. What do they want to prioritize? And this time they've prioritized the individual matchup. Every team should know that, and they should be trying to win every individual matchup. Doesn't matter, like Tbates said, 3-2, 3-0. Just win the matchups, and you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, you do still have to. You might still be benefiting from, winning 3-0 as opposed to 3-2. It is still a relevant thing. It's not immediately relevant.
Yeah. But in the day, just get the W.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about head to head. I like it, man.
I agree. Seems like we're all in conjecture. I mean, Johnny says he's really indifferent on it. But yeah, that's solid. I don't really have much more to add on a head-to-head game diff. We all
BDS just shouldn't be tweeting about it. Like they thought they won the group, then they're tweeting about it, saying, "Oh no, we apparently didn't win the group. This is the worst format ever." Why are you even tweeting that? You're just manifesting negativity, and surely you got to think that's negatively affecting their performance in round 1 of the playoffs. So they play immediately afterwards. At that moment, they just have to say, "Okay, our bad. We didn't read the rules. Refocus. We got a job to do. Get off Twitter. Get in free play." I'm gonna. I'm gonna say I'm sympathetic a little bit to that situation for them. It sucks, but it is their fault though, so they've got to take responsibility.
If they win, they don't complain. It's simple.
It is that simple. Let's try to hit on this last topic before we close out on the show. We got like 2 minutes left. NA Gauntlet. NA coming up this weekend, North American Cup. Who has the most unfortunate group? Let's throw up the groups right now to see what thing, that strength of schedule. Do we have the groups?
Oh, it's us again.
Yeah.
Hello.
There we go. Okay. Group A, Genji, Dig, Optic, Koi. Group B, FaZe, NRG, M80, Shopify. Group C, G2, V1, Knights, Ghost. Group D, SSG, Complexity, Furia, Accrue. I want to go down the line. We'll start with Raul here. Raul, Johnny, and Bates. Who do you think has the hardest group?
D. Yeah, D.
D?
Yeah.
D.
Agreed.
I would say D, followed by C, I would say D followed by C, but yeah, I think it's D. You got Complexity Inferior. They've been looking on the upswing of things. We talked about it last week. South America, the South American teams that came over to NA are starting to get a grip on North American teams, and from what I've seen so far from Space Station, they haven't looked like they're still a top team in North America, but they haven't looked as strong as they recently have. So I think that's going to be the closest group in this Winter Cup.
Completely agree.
Yep. Johnny said D. Bates.
It's D.
How simple.
It really is
Easy.
And it's just how groups work. One group's just gonna be better. It's just
D for death.
It's just unfortunate. I don't know why two groups of 8 isn't utilized more. I just feel like
it's a time constraint, but it's time constraint. You play like 7 group of 8 round robin. You got 7 games in your group, so that's gonna take a couple days, and you got 1 day for playoffs. You know,
well, there you go.
But it's doable though. I don't mind that, and you got like playoffs. It's just like maybe 4 to 6 teams. Yeah, I like that idea. You should write that one down. Send it to Psionics.
I write down a lot of things, man.
Good. Good.
Put it in
have you seen my Twitter?
Bates.
I don't need docs. Have a Twitter.
Oh,
Let's
here
go
we
look
go.
at it.
That's crazy.
All the Twitter.
That is crazy. Put it in a doc. All right, but that being said, though, we'll see how groups shake out. North American Winter Cup is going to be this weekend, and who knows what will come out of that.
Eversax has tell D-Rec has the stats.
Oh, D-Rec has the stats.
Ooh.
Game win percentage versus KC this season, 31.41%, which is 49 out of 107. Game win percentage versus KC after timeout, 30%.
It's like
30.77.
It's almost exactly the same.
30.77,
It's almost the same.
It actually went down slightly.
It went down by 0.64%. It's the same. It's almost the same, yeah. Against KC.
Oh, I guess Eversax is right. Now D-Rec didn't crunch the numbers about whether Vatira's on the team or not, but we don't need to get there. All right, I'm done. Time for me to turn the lights back on.
Well, you can turn the lights back on, but we are turning the lights out for this show because we are out of time. Johnny, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always so great to have you here.
Thank you guys for having me. A pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bro, Bates, good stuff today. My goodness. You look clean, and the takes were clean too. That being said, though, that's going to be it for us here on First Touch today. Guys, thank you guys so much for joining the show. If you liked it, of course, be sure to keep it locked in at First Touch RL on Twitter and on the YouTube. First Touch After Dark came out. If you haven't seen that, you want to check that out. It's on YouTube and Spotify. So, again, keep it locked in. Make sure to follow us on all those socials as well. But that's it for the show today. On behalf of Psionics, thank you guys so much for letting us do this on the channel. On behalf of all the fans, all the staff behind the scenes, and of course our guests today, we appreciate all of you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. 1, 2, toodaloo. We're out of here.